Welcome to the Sales Leader Roundtable, a show where we explore, share, and learn about trends in leadership and sales acumen. A place that provides our audience valuable insights, advice, and best practices from trusted members of the sales leadership community. Now, let's welcome KENDLEY Davenport and jdiebold to this episode of the Sales Leader Roundtable.
Hey, Jim, good to see you again as always.
Always, KENDLEY, great to see you as well.
I'm telling you, it's go time, fourth quarter. If you haven't made your sales numbers, you got 3 months now, right?
That's right, 3 months, and really you got to get it done right now so the sale comes in before the end of the year.
Absolutely. And there's so many businesses that we work with on the Sales Leader Roundtable that need to have a big fourth quarter. I hope they've done all the preliminary work up to this point.
Got to do it. And, you know, even if things are a little touch and go right now, no better time to get some momentum rolling than right now so that you kick off the year going gangbusters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Jim, I guess we better get this show going here in a minute. So let me welcome everybody to the Sales Leader Roundtable TV and radio broadcast. We are so appreciative of Dr. Jacqueline and USA Global TV and Radio for trusting us with this time slot. We love the first of the month because that gives us the whole month to get things done until the following month.
That's right.
You know, Jim, well, I want to make sure everybody knows what we're all about. You know, in our show, we want to explore topics in leadership and sales acumen from some of the leading thought leaders in this space. You know, our goal is to bring our audience actionable and practical information that allows them to immediately grow their teams or their own leadership skill set. And we got an unbelievable show set up for today, don't we?
We do. We absolutely do. I'm very, very excited for the content we got to bring out to our viewers today.
Well, I can't wait to get Braden out here because I know that he has helped he's part of a number of companies that's been revolutionizing how social media, LinkedIn, and others are being leveraged to grow sales for organizations, both corporate and individuals. And I know Braden has had a tremendous amount of success doing this. Why don't you introduce him and let's get him to the show?
Will do. Thanks, KENDLEY. So BRADEN WALLAKE is the CEO and founder of HyperSocial and Automaty. Both companies help B2B owners, salespeople, sales teams crush their social selling goals on LinkedIn. As a big believer in both work and personal automation, in order to spend more time doing the things you love and less time doing the things you don't, when Braden isn't working, you'll find him hanging with his best friend Roscoe, watching sports or even playing sports like golf, soccer, pickleball, and volleyball. So if you want to get your LinkedIn working for your team, connect with Braden today, and we can't wait to introduce you to him now.
Hey, Braden, welcome to the show.
Hey, KENDLEY, thanks for having me. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Braden.
I tell you, there's a lot going on out there in the social media world. It seems like this was all happening before the pandemic, but man, it feels like it to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but it sort of feels like the pandemic really accelerated the use of social media because the way we connect with people is rapidly changing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think COVID pushed us quite a few years ahead. I think we're going to get to this point anyways, but I think COVID was very good at kind of expediting that process to get us to where we are today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just amazing to me. So let's jump into some of your content. Jim, you want to get us off?
Yeah, I've got one that I'd like to start with, Braden. So, you know, when I first started in what I'm doing now as a coach and consultant, everybody's like, you got to get on LinkedIn. You got to get on LinkedIn. And I'm like, what's LinkedIn? I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do that. So how important is it to have this like polished profile? And then after that answer, what are some of the key elements to making sure we have a polished profile?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great question. I think a lot of people hear that they need to be on LinkedIn for B2B and they just think of it as a thing they used to use to get jobs. They think of it kind of as a boring corporate platform. And I think it's become so much more than that. I think the greatest piece about LinkedIn is you can be whoever you want to be, but you get to put yourself out there in a very business world, right? LinkedIn is very much for businesses doing business. And so having your profile is a place where somebody can go at any point, figure out who you are, what you have to say about the business world, about your industry, what you do, that kind of stuff. And they get to learn a lot from you. So there's a few things that I like to look at in terms of getting a profile set up the right way. Number one is humans are very visual. So I like to have a great profile picture, a great banner up at the top, just because when people get to my page, those are the two things they're going to look at first. And then I want to kind of set up the rest of my profile to be really visual as well. The second thing I like to focus on is the headline. Now, a lot of people go around on LinkedIn and have an extremely boring headline. If you go look at mine, it's I tried to make it fun. It has to do with what I do in business and life, but also has some personal things there too. It has that I'm a 5-time college dropout, which we'll have to get into that today. But I really gave it the college try. But people can kind of relate to that to me. Really, from there, having good content is the last piece. There's a few other pieces, but I don't want to dive into all of those today, such as your about section, your work history, and things like that. But the content that you're posting is going to be the other piece, the other huge piece that's going to help you be seen as the expert or thought leader, as if you want to put it that way, that you are in this world. So it's kind of your current resume in a way, or business card, but digitally.
So that raises another question for me, because, man, I hear all different kinds of things from different people at different times. What really should be in the about section?
That's a great question. And I've seen some great about sections that don't follow what I would put as a best practice, right? The way that I do it I like to think of the about section for most people is do 3 paragraphs of 3 lines or less. The first one is kind of, so you have your headline that talks about what you do. The first paragraph talking about why you do it, why you're passionate about it. Second paragraph shows specific numbers. Okay, I helped X companies do Y this, save X time, make Y money, etc. Actual specific examples or things that people have said. And third paragraph, just make it a how to contact you and why to contact you. So if you're interested in learning how I can help your business or my company can help your business, feel free to send me a LinkedIn message or send me an email. That's the basic, like the starting point that I would start at is, getting people to know the behind the scenes a little bit more, but also then the social proof and then the call to action.
Love it.
Great.
Call to action. Near and dear to our heart, right, Kenley? Call to action.
It really is. And, it raises a question for me. And when you first started talking, Braden, about the profile itself, in today's, tell me, I'll let you react to this statement, but in today's world, a lot of my sales teams I work for, we're doing a lot of research before we contact our ideal target. We sort of have a guess of who our ideal target looks like. And so when we're targeting people or targeting companies, we go look them up. And I also believe what happens is when we're communicating with people, they look us up. If you're a salesperson out there looking other people up or making contact with somebody you don't know very well or not at all, they look you up. And so it sort of becomes your billboard. And if it doesn't, it says a lot about you very quickly.
Yeah, it's kind of an ever-changing billboard too, is the coolest part. It's kind of you're driving down the road and you have your normal billboard that's you, I do this for X people, but then you have other people who are saying good things about you, or you have more things that you're posting that are helping people, or you get a new recommendation on your LinkedIn profile that's now updated. So it's kind of this billboard that then has these pop-ups that are saying, yes, trust this person. Or if you're not doing things the way you should, then it's no, don't trust this person, right? So it's a billboard that's very, I guess, very, I don't know, chameleon-like, right? And that it changes, I guess not chameleon-like, but it changes based on what people are saying and based on what you're putting out there to help people trust you more or not trust you more, because they're going to come look at that billboard, and you want to make sure that billboard says lots of good things.
Well, it's funny. I look a lot of people up on LinkedIn as they interact with the content that I post on LinkedIn, and a lot of people I come in contact with. And, I see, like you said, some very, very good profiles that make me want to believe that person, or I see them as a real thought leader in their industry, or they're good at what they do. And then I see lots of them that, people with pretty big titles and companies, et cetera, that don't use LinkedIn at all, or they're barely using it. What do you say to someone who's not actively at all using LinkedIn?
Yeah, I kind of, there's people who are more naturally good at posting and telling stories and want to put their message out there. I happen to be one of those people. And for those that aren't, you're kind of missing out on an opportunity to let people get to know who you really are without you having to do all of the work to introduce yourself. So it's kind of like, it almost can help kind of break that ice a bit quicker if you are going to have a sales conversation with somebody or any kind of conversation with a business person, that they can come see you first. Then they have questions that they get to ask you based on what you've said, and you go look at their profile. You have questions you can ask them. So I want people to understand that even if you are an introvert, posting on LinkedIn should be an extremely important part of your job if you're in B2B in any kind of a way. And that goes for people who are in sales and marketing, right? Who are generally putting their stuff forward, but also people who are in operations, right? You can do a great way of sharing the way your company operates and the way you do things for your clients and customers if you are posting on LinkedIn too.
Braden, are there specific types of content that resonates more with potential clients? If you were advising me, I mean, don't use me as an example, but what is the things that really resonates that I ought to be thinking about to get people's attention?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think this is oftentimes where sales leaders can really get their teams to get on LinkedIn and start utilizing the platform, is posting things that help your ICP, right? So whether that's a story that you can kind of relate, a story that you have from your past that relates to what, how you can help somebody, or a list of, hey, 7 of my best tips for managing a sales team or something like that. Anything that can help the person that you want to reach out to, the people that you want to see your profile, the people that your company help those people, and they're going to see you a lot more trustworthy. Where I see a lot of kind of BDRs or sales individuals go wrong is I feel like they're not thinking about their ICP when they're posting. They're thinking about trying to impress their sales manager or their sales leader to let them know, hey, I got close to my numbers, or hey, I got close to this, which actually hurts their trust with the ICP, right? If you sell a project management software, does your ICP of project manager at a company, do they care that you almost hit your BDR numbers for the month? Not particularly, but I think that is a hard thing to not post because you want your sales leader to know that you're out there almost hitting your numbers and things like that.
And so I love what you were just starting to share there, Braden, because earlier you just mentioned, being an introvert, LinkedIn's a great platform and way to engage. And then if we take what I think our minds would conjure as the stereotypical salesperson being a type A personality, well, if being on social media, especially LinkedIn, is a type of metric as to how we're doing, like you said, we brought in our sales leader to show activity, or one of the ways that we're being active in selling. How do we either A, sound engaging and engage the right way, but yet not be pushy for those type A folks?
Yeah. I think the key, and if you guys have ever listened to Hormozy, he actually talked about this in the book I read recently, which is he talked about posting content, but he says, post like helpful stuff until the point where people start asking how they can work with you, right? There's a couple other ways you can kind of do it, which is I kind of follow an 80-20 rule, is like 80% helpful, valuable content, and then 20% like, hey, do you want to sign up for our software? Or, hey, do you want to, have a conversation with me, or, promotion of some kind. But I think until you're getting enough traction, going and just helping people first and foremost will get you people coming to your inbox and saying, hey, how can I work with you? Hey, how can I, it seems like what you're doing is a great thing. Can you tell me more about this? Can you tell me more about that? So people are going to come and they're going to ask you. And I think that's a kind of a great point.
Okay. So, sorry, Kenley, I was just saying something else that comes to mind as we're talking through this is we're doing this outreach. And at the surface level, it may not feel any different than walking up to somebody's door and knocking on the door, or going to, the person at the front desk who is basically the built-in barricade to get into the business, right? Mm-hmm. Cold calling is not fun for anyone. I don't care how good you are at it. So how do we turn this into an intentional process, creating a relationship, and not just, I can create content all day, but where does the connection come from? How do we not make this a cold call?
Yeah, great question. So I highly encourage anybody who wants to use LinkedIn in a specific way, especially for, generating relationships and leads from your ideal clients, is to get Sales Navigator. It's a premium version of LinkedIn that allows you to really nail down who you're targeting. I like my very first step before I do anything else to just get connected with people, because comparatively to doing a cold call or a cold email or even in-mail on LinkedIn, that becomes a very much hey, I need to get your attention right now. And if I don't get your attention right now, well, my next opportunity is going to interfere with your workday again, right? But if you get connected on LinkedIn, now they're going to see your post in their feed. They're going to be able to go view your profile whenever you want. You also going to have a bit more free reign to their actual inbox. So I always start with a connection, but I always start with, okay, who do I need? And I use Sales Navigator to say, okay, who is my ideal clients? Then from there, I say, okay, make sure that they're a second degree connection first and foremost. If you target your second degrees, you're going to have a much better connection rate than targeting third degrees. So get connected with them. And I know that kind of answers your question, Jim, but if you start with that, you then get to play the short-term and long-term game of, if it's not a fit for them right now, well, your content, because you're going to be, if you're posting or you want to go send them a message later, it's much less like in your face than going and cold calling them again, now trying to interrupt their workday again, or showing up to their door, knocking on it, and they're running out of, whatever they're doing in their days again. They're not going to be happy to see you there. But if then it becomes timely and they're going to say, hey, I need to go back to Braden because this is now the time that we need to implement X or Y.
Got it.
It's funny. I guess I'll make an example. In full disclosure, I have used a lot of Braden's playbook for the Sales Leader Roundtable. There's a lot going on there that allows us to really build an audience. And from that audience, we've never once, I think, on LinkedIn asked anybody for, to really directly join. We just say, come and view our content, come be a part of it. And then what we try to do is we literally post, 4 to 5 times a week, really content people can use. And sometimes it's as simple as a reminder cheat sheet that you can print out, that you maybe can stuff in your drawer, that you saw it before somewhere. But, sometimes reading characteristics of a good leader, or do's and don'ts, or how to coach people better, all those things just resonate with people to make them a stronger leader. And that's what we try to do, is just keep helping people. And that's what I think people keep wanting to be a part of our network.
That's right.
Yeah.
When they see that your content is there to help them, they're much more likely to want to connect with you too. If your content is just, hey, sell, hey, buy my stuff, hey, get on a sales call, hey, this, hey, that, hey, look how great my software is. I'm okay with you telling how great your software is, as long as you can kind of relate, your case studies back to how it can help others and things like that. But it's going to make people want to connect with you and want to talk with you a lot more.
That's excellent. Well, I'm also transitioning, even when I support my clients and helping them, spread their word about some of the good things they're doing. But again, it's not about us selling anybody anything. It's more about just them having information that they can make their organization, maybe a small process within their organization, stronger and better, even without engagement with, the Sales Leader Roundtable or anyone that I'm associated with.
Exactly. When you solve people's smaller problems, they're going to be much more likely to help you, to have you want to help them solve their bigger problems, right? So that's the great thing about posting content, is they say, okay, this is valuable stuff. Like Braden just posted something that was really, really valuable, and I actually learned something and went and changed something at my company or in my process or whatever. And that's just a piece he posts on LinkedIn. What's it going to be like if I hire him or his company to do whatever they do for us?
Well, I want to ask you another question, maybe on a little bit different topic. I've been working with a few companies recently, and they have, pretty good size organization, Salesforce, but everyone's not using LinkedIn very much. How do we motivate, as a person who knows that LinkedIn is your billboard, that people are looking you up, other people are researching who you are, if you've reached out to them, et cetera. How do you motivate a sales team to want to put their best foot forward? Maybe they want to use their social media for other means, but certainly if they work for a company, they ought to be at some level at least proud of that. Yeah,
I think there's a few ways to go about, and you can never force somebody to post on their social media, but if you can show them some insights. So if you start, as a leader yourself, and start posting and showing, if you have Sales Navigator, you can see the people that are viewing your profile on LinkedIn. So if you start showing, hey, look at these people who are viewing my profile because of my content, right? It's your ICP. So you start doing the same thing and watch them come to your profile instead of mine, right? Number two is help them understand what good content is, right? Because a lot of people just don't know where to start. The first, posting on LinkedIn the first one time, that's like the scariest one. And then just helping them be consistent. And then what I see a lot of companies do is they'll build like internal engagement, whether you're on Slack and they just have a Slack channel that's just for their LinkedIn content. Because now you can post your most recent LinkedIn post on there and have your whole team all go in and just like or comment on people's posts that they're posting that are also on, in your company. So to kind of help get them, get that boost of dopamine that they get when they get that notification that somebody liked and commented. And it'll also help them, it helps the algorithm share that more. So start with showing them the proof, help them get started, and then help them get better.
Well, you're so right about that, because I've seen in one of my client companies, they're very small startup, and they only had about 200 people on their company page. And in the first month of just everybody trying to like and share and be a little more active than they had been, they're over, within 1 month, they're already over 500 people following their page. So they're trying to do something right by adding some content. And I think just because people started engaging with it, it started making it get stronger.
Yeah, definitely.
So Braden, you just mentioned the likes, which did make me chuckle, because maybe I'm old enough that's Facebook was cool originally, right? And it's not anymore, because that's just my age. But
glad you know it.
Yeah. But taking it a step further, what about the recommendations? How key is that, and how do sales professionals go about making sure that that's a healthy section for them?
I think where most people just take a quick shortcut onto that is they just ask their boss or their coworker or somebody there for a recommendation. And when I'm a prospect or a potential client or somebody just going to view your profile that doesn't, work with you, recommendations from coworkers and bosses are good. But if you can go get recommendations from customers, people that you've, brought onto your SaaS platform or brought into your company and who have said want to say great things about you, that's like next level recommendation, right? Because that's like the social proof of, yes, Kenley's good at what he does, and it's great that his coworkers know, but who really knows that he's great at what he does is customers. So if I become a customer, I'm going to have these same words to say about Kenley.
And what's I love that answer, but what's the nuance then also with endorsements? Because those are like all the different skills, I guess, that people see you or witness from you. So tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah, I don't care for the endorsements that side that much.
Okay.
Generally, what I have people do is, because there's 1,000 things that you get good at when you're in any position, right?
Right.
Where I see a lot of people go wrong in their LinkedIn is like, hey, I'm good at sales and I'm good at cold prospecting. I'm good at this, but none of those relate back to the platform that they're actually, or, the thing that they're selling, right? For Kenley, it sure makes sense to, sales leadership or things like that for what Kenley does. But if you're selling, again, like a project management tool, well, you should get good at project management. And so you can choose of all the skills that you're learning, put the 3 main ones that relate to your prospect, right? Not that relate to what you're actually doing during your job. Because if you're selling a project management tool, you're going to learn how to manage projects. You're going to learn that project management tool really well. Get those 3 to the top, because those are the 3 that most people are going to go click, yep, endorse. Get those there up front. However, you can go through and endorse anybody for all of their skills. But that's the way that I kind of use those comparatively to a recommendation.
Cool. Love that. It's great info.
Braden, I was sitting there. I was just sitting there, sort of contemplating where I wanted to take this conversation, because there's so much to unpack here in the big scheme of things. But I want to go back to Sales Navigator. I want to maybe talk a little bit about it. A lot of people, get on LinkedIn in a free account. Then I believe you can get a premium account. Then you can also jump up to Sales Navigator. Can you help us understand what the differences are and what maybe the value propositions for each, and who should be using it when?
Sure. So I still don't know the benefit of just business premium, period. I don't know why it's there as a platform. I don't know what you get out of it comparatively to Sales Navigator. Like, I know you don't get the Sales Navigator searches and a lot of the extra benefits that Sales Navigator gets you. So I'm not sold on business premium. free versus, if you have business premium, your searches are the same as if you're search, you just have a free account in terms of you have your regular LinkedIn searches. There's very few filters for those searches. There's industry or company and then you can only search for first and second degree connections. And when you get to Sales Navigator, you can search for first, second, and third. You can search for people who are in the same group as you. They also have some really cool stuff to say, hey, did they used to be in a position and now they're in a, did they used to have the title of owner and now they moved to CEO? Or did they used to be a CEO and now they have the title of owner? Or how long have they been in a position? So you can really get granular with your targeting. And then they have some cool spotlight features, as what they call it, where you can see who of this search has posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. So now those people are definitely active on the platform. And you should reach out to those people because they're kind of low-hanging fruit, right? If you reach out to somebody who maybe isn't active on the platform, you don't know if they're going to get connected. You don't know if they're going to come to your profile or, even hear what you have to say in your messages or things like that. So, and then, a ton more features in terms of industry, granular on, the title that you're going after. Very much can search for if people are in certain LinkedIn groups or things like that. So it really lets you get extremely granular with your messaging and targeting of who you want to go after.
So when we were looking at that information, we've talked about content a little bit, providing value to the LinkedIn world abroad, but certainly to your ideal prospect and whatnot. But how do we draw the line between the networking component and we'll loosely use the word selling, right? Because we're not really selling, but, kind of working someone through that process. So what's really the difference? What does that look like? Just networking versus I actually am wanting you to be my customer.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that where people go, again, I'm not going to just say people are going wrong, but where people generally think of if they're doing this thing on LinkedIn, they either go very networking, going to a networking event where you just introduce yourself to anybody and everybody. You're just like, hey, I do this. Hey, I do this. Hey, I do this. You're just throwing out your business card to everybody. I think of it more of, and I heard this from a different podcast too. So is more like a networking dinner, right? During a dinner, you're not just going out there and throwing out your business card. You're going out there and you're asking people about their business and asking them, what things are they struggling with, and just getting to know their business. When you kind of take that dinner approach, yes, you get to know them and you're asking them stuff, but you're also building up that trust a bit more in a way that says, hey, wanted to reach out to you, enjoyed that dinner that we had, a couple of weekends ago. You mentioned that you were struggling with this. That's something I can actually help with. Is it worth the conversation, right? So when you go and you actually get to know the people on the other side, you're actually helping yourself sell a lot better, or you're helping figure out how you can solve those problems a lot better than going to just a networking event, right? Where you're just throwing your business card out to anybody and everybody.
That's great. So really what I heard was kind of mindset and approach and being tactical in providing valuable content. And then, oh, by the way back when, which is relative, a day ago, a week ago, or whatever, this is what you offered. And in my about section, for example, I address some of that, and here are some old posts. So I can, some puzzle pieces are coming together in my mind, Braden. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I love the analogy. I wrote that down. Networking dinner versus networking event.
Wish I made that up, but
well, it was awesome.
Way smarter than me.
It was awesome.
Well, Braden, we'd be remiss if we didn't take a few minutes here and let me ask you what I would call the biggest softball question in the world. And that is, talk to us a little bit, tell us about HyperSocial and your businesses and how this interconnects. And because I think people are a little scared of LinkedIn because, it's for some people developing content is hard. And then if you actually engage people, it's hard to keep up with that engagement. They have other priorities in their job. You still got to get out and visit customers. You got to travel. You got a lot to do in a week. So how do you make LinkedIn work for you? And tell us how HyperSocial helps with that.
Sure. So the biggest thing that we see when doing LinkedIn, even if you're not posting, which I still highly encourage, of course, if you're just going to the connect and send a message route, really trying to lead with value there, trying to solve a problem that somebody may have without asking them for $1 will go a long ways in terms of saying, okay, now what? Braden reached out to me. He offered me this great, webinar that he was running. I went to it. It was amazing. And I learned a whole bunch. I want to engage him in what he does. So we kind of help you figure out how to lead with that value. What we do is we help you set up those outbound processes for you, right? So if you don't know what to say, you don't know how to lead with value, you don't know this, you don't know that, we actually just do that for you. So that way you don't have to worry about it, right? And then we have my other company, Automated, what stemmed from HyperSocial, which is a platform that helps you do this whole thing. It helps you manage your inbox with tags. So you can because once you start doing a lot of LinkedIn messaging and connecting, the LinkedIn inbox by itself is pretty scattered. So we said, hey, let's connect the LinkedIn inbox over to Automated, so that way you can organize that whole process. It also helps you do more every single day. You can invite people to LinkedIn events that you're hosting. You can invite them to join a group, or you can actually message people who are in groups that you're a member of. That's what we do, is to say, hey, instead of you just trying to figure this out on your own, let's just take it off your plate because you have every other thing in the world to do. Let us go figure out who to target, how to target them, how to lead with value. So that way your time is spent just replying to those people who are interested in chatting with you.
So what is your ideal target profile, your ideal customer profile? It seems to me that what you do can work, has a pretty broad usage, but help define that for us.
Sure. So it depends on how people choose to engage with us. So most on the HyperSocial side, most of the people that work with us are small business owners. Maybe they have a few salespeople, right? But they're still not a huge company by any means. They're just trying to figure things out themselves. Then where people just engage, like our software by itself, is generally the bigger companies who want to be able to have insights into what their team is doing, help, duplicate campaigns and help them track their own stuff, connect all the LinkedIn inbox activity and stuff over to their CRM and things like that. That's generally when we see the, enterprise level sales, or, 5 to 10 sales teams join that, because then they can kind of figure that stuff out together based on, we've got a whole bunch of best practices and stuff they'll give them, but it's kind of more of a self-serve platform. But then it becomes infinitely scalable that way, right? It's just, okay, let's add another seat for, KENDLEY. Let's add another seat for Jim. Let's add another seat here. And now you're just speeding up that process and making a very consistent process for your whole team. So very much small businesses generally on the HyperSocial side, and then very much the bigger sales teams on the just Automated platform side.
Wow, that's beefy. That was exciting to listen to, Braden. So what's also interesting, though, from, say, a service perspective, whether it's me managing, if I'm a sales professional, I'm managing my LinkedIn profile, all 10 of us on the team are supposed to be doing that. Or certainly if you're working with an organization, how does one stay up to date with all of the changes that are constantly happening?
That's a good question. I guess follow me on LinkedIn, because I'll try to share those as much as I can, because that's what we do all day, every day, is play with the algorithms, see what changes are going on. And what I would say, though, is where algorithms affect a lot of people, if you're posting good content and you're making good connections with people that actually want to have conversations with you, the algorithm will never really change that much to hurt you, right? It's not, they're out there because, especially if you have Sales Navigator, LinkedIn wants you to use the platform. They want you to get benefit from the platform. You're going to stop paying them for Sales Navigator. And I think Sales Navigator makes up premium subscriptions, including Recruiter and Business Premium and things like that, make up 19% of LinkedIn's revenue. So they really want you to get value from it, so they don't lose all those clients. So yeah, I kind of forgot where I was going with that, but
that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. We were just talking about adapting to change. So for example, at one point, somebody told me, you got to do polls. Everybody loves polls. And then it was, polls are still kind of sort of in, not as in, so there's changes. So what would you say, the thing, if there is a thing right now, what's the thing on LinkedIn right now?
It's posting pictures of yourself crying. I'm just kidding. Made that mistake.
Great, because all I heard was I'm screwed.
Or put a picture of a puppy on there, I guess.
That's right. Now polls do well. I did a couple of polls recently on a new offer HyperSocial was putting together, just to help me get votes from my ICP, right? Those people I'm connected with, so they can help me name my product or my service, or tell me how they want it to, to digest it or things like that. polls can do well there. I don't think there's one thing. I think each person and each industry, it's just about playing with each, right? And I would never keep, again, back to that 80-20 rule. I would never just post 100%. And Kenley, you know, Emily, my girlfriend, so she loves this quote. The 80-20 rule is all about keeping that, you know, if you're 100% nice all the time, or you're 100%, mean or things like that, there's no question of what's coming next. And so people start, and same thing with posting on LinkedIn. If you're the same type of post over and over and over, people are going to stop engaging because they know what they're going to get out of it, right? But if you post, hey, 80% helpful, fun stories, and then 20% polls, right? Then you're going to keep people guessing and keeping them wanting to click that see more button or engage with that poll, things like that. I think then from there, testing what works for you. There's polls, there's LinkedIn carousels, which are great. Starting your own LinkedIn newsletter. I have like 10,000 followers on the newsletter, and I think I've posted on it like 4 or 5 times because I'm so inconsistent. Regular stories. Figure out, and then when you are on there and you have Sales Navigator, you can be able to see your analytics, see which ones are getting the most type of views, which ones are getting the most engagements, and then learn from there. And I think there will always be a testing involved when you're posting content. I think it's just about, and things may change. It's just about, figuring out what works for you and figuring out what your ICP and your prospects are engaging with, and keep posting that kind of content.
Love it.
Well, Braden, this has been a lot of detailed information today, and I know we could spend another hour. So we only have a couple of minutes left, but maybe in about a minute or so, could you sort of sum up from your perspective, because you and your team work with LinkedIn all day? What do you think the future of sales, what's the future of LinkedIn looking like? What's the trends that we should be paying attention to in the coming years?
Yeah, I think the biggest trend we're seeing get annihilated on LinkedIn is the pitch slap. And we've seen that over the past, couple of years since COVID, where there was a ton of anybody and everybody. They were just going after anybody they possibly can to send them messages because they couldn't do their door knocking and cold calling anymore. But they just started just connecting with people, sending them a message that says, hey, can I get 30 minutes of your time because I want to sell you my thing? I think there's going to be even more room for that to be rid of, because I still get those. I think we will see LinkedIn continue to grow in its collaboration process. The biggest thing is that individuals will still dominate LinkedIn comparatively to companies. Companies have become very pay to play on LinkedIn. They want you to, pay them for ads and paying them to promote their content as a company. Individuals will still continue to dominate. And that's also what we've seen in the COVID world, or post-COVID world, I guess, which is we're desperate for one-on-one interactions. I'm tired of going to, I'm a Michigan fan, but Ohio State Buckeye game and just seeing logos everywhere. And it's exhausting, right? But and same thing with Tesla. We care about Tesla, yes, but we more care about Elon Musk behind the scenes of Tesla, right? The person behind the company. And same thing with other employees at companies, is the individual face-to-face will always thrive. And I think that we're only going to see more towards that and less away from logos and companies, ads and things like that they're going to win the day.
Well, Braden, thank you for your time today. It's been insightful information. What would you, if people want to learn more or get a chat with you, how would they do so?
Yeah. Probably LinkedIn would be the best way to do that. And I know that's so meta. You can also send me an email or go to the website, gohypersocial.com, or you can just email me at braden@gohypersocial. You'll get me faster on LinkedIn, but you will also still get me via email if you choose to go that way.
Well, thanks a whole lot, Braden. We really appreciate you being on our TV show, the Sales Leader Roundtable, and we really loved having you. Am I right, Jim?
100%, Braden. It was great to hear your expertise on LinkedIn. Very useful. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Kenley. Thanks, Jim.
Take care now, my friend. We'll keep in touch. Soon.
Yep. Take care.
Well, Jim, that's another wrap almost on a show. We got another one coming up in a month on November the 6th. And 4 p.m. as always, the first Monday, November the 6th. I guess that's close to Election Day.
It is. It is close to Election Day. And I know that everyone's going to be way more excited to come to our show than go to that poll on Tuesday.
That's very, very right. Well, we're going to have Paul Fuller. We already had him last month in our roundtable cohort. It's going to be exciting to see him again. You gotta be on that show, everybody. Paul's amazing. Hey, we appreciate everybody visiting the Sales Leader Roundtable. Have a good day, and we'll see you next month.
Take care.
Thank you for joining us today. You are now eligible to attend the peer-to-peer professional development network of the Sales Leader Roundtable. It is held on the fourth Wednesday of each month at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. For an invitation, email us at info@salesleaderroundtable.com or visit us at www.salesleaderroundtable.com. Our next show is scheduled for the first Monday of each month. We hope you will join us again.